Hello, everyone. This is Mike and Rainbow from Dimensional Walking. Do you want to say hello?
They know me.
Oh, they do? Okay. Anyways, today we're going to do something we think is pretty interesting. This is going to be talking about the elements of a alien abduction. Okay. And we're going to do this a two-parter. So we're going to do about ten of the elements today and 10 or so of the elements uh, on the next video. Anyways, we're gonna get our information from our own personal experiences and also talking to other people, other witnesses, other people that had abductions, contact, etc. So we're gonna go through all of these, and I would say that if you've had say 30% of these elements, it's a chance you have been abducted, but there's no guarantee. Okay, so don't be upset one way or the other. Okay, so here we go. The first element is strange lights in the sky.
Mhm.
So, Rainbow, you want to kind of talk about that and how that relates to the abduction scene?
Well, I come from New Mexico, so I saw UFOs from the time I was a young child, up until just 3 days ago. Um, I was here. Michael went to go visit his mom, and there was a low-flying UFO that was silent, and it was about what a quarter to 12 when I saw it late at
I was in
night.
here, remember?
And I told you about it though. And anyways, I looked at it. I was outside looking at it, and I saw the lights flashing. And first thought was it's a planet, because a lot of people think that they're planets if they see the lights in the sky. And we even do that sometimes out here because it's really dark. So I knew immediately. My instinct is when I see a UFO and I go through all my I try to debunk it. First off, was it a helicopter? Well, it was in that same spot for 15 minutes. It had no sound. The lights were flashing and it was real low and I could see it really well. So I debunked everything else that it possibly could have been outside of a airplane or, like I stated, a helicopter. So then I know that the evening is going to get interesting because, as an experiencer, as somebody who's been abducted, I know that that usually means something. But I was so tired. I was doing laundry late and I just went to bed. I didn't, Michael's like, "Did you get a video? Did you videotape it? Did you do all the stuff that you're supposed to do?" I was too tired. I just didn't feel like doing it. So, anyways, the night was interesting because I didn't wake up at all, which is unusual for me. I always wake up, don't I?
Yes,
I always
that's
wake
true.
up.
Yes, yes.
I didn't wake up. So something strange happened. But usually, when you see a UFO, especially in the way that I did, that was around for that amount of time, you're going to have some experience.
Yeah, and one
Unusual.
and one of the things from I did about 1,500 abductee contactee interviews. One of the things I found out from the interviews, and I've stated this before, that it seems like if you got within 1,000 feet or three football fields approximately of a UFO, approximately again, there's a good chance you're going to get abducted.
Yeah.
Okay. In this particular case, where Rainbow told me the UFO she saw was within that 1,000 feet.
Well, and it's the second one I saw within, uh, what, 2 weeks? I saw another one over on the other side, and I was trying to explain it to Michael, and it had left before I could. It's like, oh, that's I think it was the same one actually. It was in the far side area
Yeah,
of the property,
that's true. It
and I'm
was.
pretty sure that it was the same one because they had the same type of lights. But yeah, you can almost guarantee it. And since I've gone through so many experiences with the abduction phenomena and everything that goes along with it, it doesn't freak me out. I don't get scared. It's just like, oh, interesting. Okay, because it's not like you see it all the time, but you see it enough, and then as someone who experiences that,
Okay.
yeah.
So the next element is sudden loss of time.
Mhm.
And so abductees experience a missing block of time with no memory of what happened during, I guess in this case, an abduction. You might wake up in a different location, and realize that there was an explainable amount of time that had passed. Now, I will just give you a couple brief examples of this. I worked with an abductee that actually worked for me in Georgia, and he had been abducted many times. And some of the things he knew when he was abducted was that he knew he was sitting in a certain chair all the time. And when he came back several times, he was put in a different chair. So right away, he knew when he woke up or from that abduction that he had was taken. And then the same guy was driving down major highway, a major interstate highway going in one direction. And he remembers suddenly he seemed to like black out or just had missing time. He ended up going in a completely opposite direction. And before he realized it, he had traveled close to 100 miles in that opposite direction. So, and this is a route that he had taken many times before.
Mhm.
So, those are a couple of my examples of the missing time phenomena that are related to abductions. Rainbow, you have anything to add on that one quick? Or we?
Well, when I hit 40 and all my memories came back to me as far as when I was actually driving my car, I didn't remember from the time that I was being shown all these memories, like a slide in my third eye. I was actually reliving all these experiences as my body was taking me to a location that where I was going to be going to a community center. And I just know that all of a sudden I'm at the community center. And there were a bunch of lights. It was on the west side of Albuquerque, and it was along Coors Road. I think you know Coors Road.
Right.
And and I was all of a sudden there. And I don't remember going through the lights. I don't remember, I mean, something took over my body and drove me there, but I didn't remember it. So yeah.
Okay. So, next one is electrical disturbances.
Hmm.
Electronic devices malfunction or flicker as a UFO approaches, hinting to a disturbance in the energy field around it, including lights in cars dimming, radios going haywire, or phones losing signals. So, Rainbow, did you want to add anything to that?
We remember just I mentioned it to you. I think that abductees have the ability to actually still have that. I don't know if it's an energy vibration or whatever, where they can actually, you know how people can go underneath a light post and it'll go off,
Hmm.
and I mean they can go under each one and it'll go off.
Right.
I think that is the residual effects of actually being abducted. Because I in my 20s I could do that.
Right.
You know, I haven't tried it lately. There's not lot of light
There's
posts
no
out
light
in where we
posts
live,
out there.
but and I'm not out at night like I used to be. But I think that's something to think about. If you have that ability, you might, you know, think about if you think you have been abducted and you have that ability to actually go under the light posts and turn them off, or they just go off when you go underneath. Think about if you've had that connection between the two, because I think there is a connection, you know, if you have that ability. And
Okay.
not just that, but other stuff too. Because I have had watches that stopped working. When my last job that I had, I could work on a computer or work on something um, mechanical or you know, something that like a computer, and it would malfunction. Something would happen and it would be where the actual in another job that I had, the screen went black when I was working at a register. And it didn't just happen on one register, it happened on others, but it didn't happen with anybody else. So I think that has a lot to do with it too.
Okay, the next one is sleep paralysis. Now, this is one that most everybody knows about. This is where an abductee feels a sense of being held down or watched while in bed, unable to move their body. And this is a kind of usually accompanied by a feeling of dread, maybe even an unseen presence in the room. So, Rainbow, you have a little something on that?
Why do they call it sleep paralysis? When it's happened to me, I haven't been asleep. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, when I was completely paralyzed, when I was in Cairo, Egypt, and I felt the pressure on my lower back, and I could just look with my eyes. When I finally was able to roll over and I was all sweaty, I was completely awake. I don't understand how they can call it that.
Well, I think one of the reasons because scientifically it's kind of goes back to that's kind of what it is. It's a paralysis in the sleep mode. And that's kind of a scientific look at it, even though I think even the ufologists call it sleep paralysis. Or they could have just called it alien abduction paralysis or something where there is no movement. So, okay,
Yeah,
I
paralysis.
got
I
you.
mean, because it has nothing to do with being asleep.
Okay, okay, gotcha. Okay, so then the next one is and this is related again a little bit to the missing time thing, unexplained physical evidence. And this is upon waking, an abductee would discover strange marks on their body, like pinpricks, bruises, implants. These could be remnants of, physical exams, maybe on board, performed by the aliens. So,
Are you talking about missing time?
no, missing time with unexplained physical
Oh,
evidence.
yeah.
Okay. So anyways, Rainbow, you have had plenty of marks on you. I haven't had that many, but
I
she's
have
had
marks
a
that are
lot of
still
them.
with me to this day, on my calf, on the inner side of my left calf, where two prong marks. I don't know what they had done, but yeah, I had marks when I was paralyzed in Egypt. I had brown spots on my back. I've had I've woken up with needle marks that Michael has seen,
Mm-hmm.
that are shaped in a pyramid,
Like
and
pyramid ones.
I've multiple times I've had that happen. I think you had needle marks on your ankle
Yes, I
pulled
did.
up,
I did. I don't
and
remember if they were in a pyramid, but there were definitely needle
there were
marks.
three marks, and they were in the shape of a pyramid. And that's something that I would like to hear if anybody else watching this, if you have marks, are they in the shape of a pyramid, or do they have a specific unusual shape to it? It doesn't have to be a pyramid, it could be a square, multiple squares. I just wonder if other people have shapes to the marks that are on their bodies.
Okay. Okay, the next one is involuntary memories or dreams. And this is where an abductee starts having these vivid dreams or flashbacks from being in a spaceship undergoing medical procedures or communicating with alien beings. These memories may feel real but lack content, meaning you kind of see them, they're kind of brief. You don't have all kinds of content to go with you, but they kind of flash in your mind or maybe during the day for no reason at all. They're somewhat triggered, and that's sort of what happens. I know Rainbow's got a few probably.
Flashbacks,
Okay.
a brief flicker here and there. I had complete memory of the whole shebang,
But that
the
was
whole
after
thing.
40 though, right? Didn't you say?
When I hit 40,
Right.
and here's where missing time and where time was, it was very strange. I don't know how to put it. So while I was in the car being driven to this community center, I time stopped and all these memories came back, and it was being shown to me, and I saw them like a movie screen with all the experiences, and saw that within the time frame of me going from a red light to actually ending up at the community center. So they altered time, because I don't know if I could have seen everything that they were showing me in the allotted time of from one red light to the community center, because I think the community center was like 10 minutes away. So, I mean, I'm not saying, I'm saying for me, I know that there, and I've talked to people where they get flashbacks, and as Michael said, they get triggered. Something can trigger you, um, that, and it can be just crazy stuff. It can be people walking and someone turning and looking at you, and they look familiar to you. Maybe they were the person that was you were abducted with. You don't know them in everyday life, but you somehow know them. And I've had that happen, or I've seen somebody who I know, and that happened with Michael. When I met Michael, I actually remembered him and his former wife.
From her
So,
wife. Don't
yeah,
bring her into
beautiful.
this.
No, she's beautiful,
Okay.
gorgeous
Yeah.
gal. And I remember both of them. And and
Strange
yeah,
things, huh?
but I was probably 14, 15 at the time that I had actually had an experience with Michael and his former wife. So,
Okay.
interesting.
So we'll move on from that. That's for sure. Animal mutilations. Okay. So we're not going to go into the whole
Mm,
detail. What?
we were going to cut that out. We weren't going to
No,
do
no,
that.
we're going to talk about that because that was the whole concept where the mutilations happen.
That's
And
yeah,
right,
when I
right,
was working cattle.
right, right.
Yeah, where
Working
the
cat.
mutilations, yeah, because yeah, I remember that
Okay,
because we
go
were going
ahead.
to talk about how it's like, I hate that phrase, killing two birds with one stone, but usually the people who are dealing with the cattle, the families, they're dealing with the abductions, right?
So, well, that it goes back to
It did with
a
me.
good friend of mine in New Mexico, and Rainbow knows who I'm talking about. I'm not going to name names, but he had like 26 cattle mutilations
Yeah,
on his ranch
right.
with his family's ranch, and I think there was
It's a
also a
well-known
conversation
incident. Yeah.
that he said that there were people in and around that area where the mutilations are happening that were having all kinds of other type of contact. So that's the reason we're bringing it up because there seems to be some relation to the cattle mutilations and the region in which it's being done. It
Yeah.
seems like there's other activity besides the cattle
Well, there's
mutilations.
paranormal. So
Right.
it's like at I hate bringing up this ranch because it's like taking up the whole Um, most people know this ranch by Skinwalker Ranch, and the whole point of that ranch was the paranormal, the UFO, the mutilation, the cat mutilations, and other things that happen there.
Okay.
So that's a good example of it. I hate using that because there's so many other ranches and so many other people. That's just one place that is famous because of TV, but there are so many others.
Okay, the next one is government cover up. The conspiracy theories abound, agencies being aware, collaborating with alien abductions. Okay, people see abductees see other military people in the backgrounds. And of course, that comes to the subject of Men in Black. So there's this kind of if you see the Men in Black or they come to your door, and all the stuff around the government cover up, that could be also an element of an abduction experience. So, did you have anything to
Yeah,
add
I
to that?
always say there's three different types of Men in Black. There's the original Men in Black,
Okay,
the actual alien group.
okay,
There's the military Men in Black, and then there's the government Men in Black.
okay,
So it just depends on which group happens to knock on your door.
okay. Next element is alien communication. The abductee has telepathic encounters with aliens, receiving messages and images throughout in their mind. Now, me personally, I've had a few of them. I always tell about the one that I had when I was in uh, Peachtree City, Georgia, and I was sitting on a bench waiting for my kids to come, and all of a sudden something very clearly came into my mind and said, "Mike, remember this. Reality is not what it seems." Well, I'm going to be honest with you. When that happened, I never forgot that. I know it's short and it's simple, but it really is, I believe, to be true. But anyways, that was it, and I'm sure I've been abducted, just so you know that. Anyways, you have anything to add on that, Rainbow?
Well, when I was young, I worked with an alien named Meek Mohan, and yeah, they taught. Well, if you are one of the group of people who have been abducted from the time you're very young, and you're trained with them, you learn to telepathically communicate with them, and it actually affected my schooling because I had a hard time reading and doing all the other fundamentals that you have to do in school because I was being bussed out of school and I was working with Grays, and how I had to communicate with them was telepathically. So
Okay.
as a young child, I learned that. And so, yeah, it does affect you. I think now I've probably closed off a bit more to it. I haven't communicated with an alien in quite a while outside of Michael.
Oh yeah.
So,
Well, that's a constant for sure. Okay, so moving right along. Strange symbols or drawings. I know Rainbow has some good stuff to tell you about that. I've really not had much of that. People I've worked with would draw me tons of symbols, and they would give them to me and say, "Hey, this is what I'm visualizing in my mind. This is what they're telling me." Some really cool stuff, although none of them have been deciphered that I'm aware of. But anyways, Rainbow, I'm sure you got some.
Yeah, I didn't bring it. Darn it.
That's all right.
Maybe I'll bring it in the second half. But yeah, there when I had first met Michael, I was given an image, and the whoever gave it to me said you need to show this. The exact words they said, you need to show this to Michael. And so we were staying at a Hampton Inn, and I
Okay.
woke up and I said, I have to give this symbol to you. And I ended up drawing it, and it was a circle with a line through it. And that was a some
Pollock.
symbology,
Mhm.
that there's another word, not symbology, there's another word for it, where it represented one thing that they told me, that their symbols don't just represent a word, their symbols represent a phrase. So if you see one symbol, the symbol will mean um, something like something. They're very poetic. They're in how they talk, but their language, how they how we would interpret their language is it would come out very strange. Like for instance, there's a group called the Soul Pleasers, and that sounds very strange to us because what does that mean, a soul pleaser? But to them, it means something entirely different than it does to us. And so the symbol that was given to me from Michael meant something of a greetings to him.
Hmm.
And they thought that he would know what it meant. And he looked at it and he goes, oh, that's cool. I don't know what that means. And that was the end of it. And I'm like,
Maybe
I
today,
was told to give this to you, and that's all you have to
right?
say, and
But
that's all you said.
but no. But you know what? The reality is, it's sort of like a crop circle. Okay,
Yeah.
you look at it, and it may not mean anything now, or it may not mean anything that you can talk about immediately, but it could leave an impression, or it could change something inside your mind. And I think that's what's really important. Who knows? Maybe I looked at that and it changed something in my mind. I would only hope so.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think for me it was just I lost sleep because it was like, sometimes when they telepath messages to me, I can't go back to sleep. So it was like 3 in the morning. They gave me the image, and then I couldn't go back to sleep. And so by the time I didn't want to wake Michael up. So by the time you did wake up. I gave it to you. I wanted a little more reaction, and I didn't get it.
Oh,
So
sorry. Okay, moving right along.
yeah,
Number 10. This will be the last one we'll do on this particular part one. And this is abduction with a companion. Now, I haven't really had anything like this, but I know Rainbow definitely has. So she's going to take this number 10, and she's going to talk about her an ex-husband and one of her friends. The three of them had some experiences.
cat. Just like Whitley Strieber, I was taken with my cat.
Oh, okay. I forgot about the
And it
cat.
was on the west side of Albuquerque, and I was taken to a base close to where I lived. I won't say the base, but I know that when we came back, my cat and I were horrifically lethargic and extremely thirsty. So one thing I noticed is that one of the things that you're going to find is that you get extremely thirsty when you get taken. But the other companion was uh, my ex-husband, Kelly. And Kelly and I were he was with me when we saw the tall, the, what did we call her?
Well, she's either a Nordic or
Yeah, the tall
yeah,
white. So
a Nordic, I think.
so and it was during the daytime. Everybody thinks that you're going to have these experiences during the nighttime, and it's just not true. You can be abducted anytime, night or day. It doesn't matter if they don't see time like we do. If they want you, they're going to get you. But in this instance, we are working cattle, and she had her spacecraft, and I actually was able to touch it, be able to talk, and that's one of the memories that came back to me. I tried to get back in contact with him regarding this experience, and I got confirmation on it, and I got confirmation that he didn't think I'd ever remember. He had contact with them, and I had a very dear friend that was like an older brother, Woody, who passed away. They both have passed away. And Woody, when I talked to him and I said, "Hey, find out from Kelly if this happened," and I gave him the details, and he was very excited. And he said, "I'm so happy that you're starting to remember because you remember all the times that Kelly, you and I worked with aliens." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" So those memories have not come back to me, but the three of us did, and I have one experience where Kelly confirmed it, and Kelly was a medicine man, so he had a great insight to these beings, and he communicated with them. So,
Okay.
yeah,
So
that was pretty cool.
anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to cut it off here. We're going to do part two in a little bit. So what we'll try to do, Rainbow's going to try to get that symbol, and we'll show you what before we start. We'll
We'll go
show
run
you this.
downstairs and get it.
We'll go ahead and show you the symbol, starting with part two. So, anyways, come and see us on part two, and I hope you enjoyed part one. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.